Hey everyone, this is for YouTube. I'm going to be analyzing Plup versus Armada Sheik Peach matchup, which was really exciting from last weekend. Plup ended up winning 3-1, and being that I used to be a former Sheik main, I really hope that I can give a little bit of insight and some of my perspective as a Sheik main and what I look for in terms of the matchup and what Plup really did well. This is a matchup where it's very, if you can set up and find good position for yourself, you will set up rock, paper, scissors scenarios and mix-up scenarios where it's not really a mix-up scenario where you can just simply react to everything that Peach does and punish it decently with minimal risk. Really, Peach has to overextend here. And in this matchup, some of the goals I have are like, you want to be in the mid-range where you're just close enough that if Peach pulls a turnip, you can needle her or threaten her. But you don't want to be so close that you're getting threatened by mix-ups with like jab, down smash, or being in inappropriate positions. The one thing that Plup and Shroom really do is they maneuver the stage and they understand what Peach is looking for in terms of zones that she wants. And the slower Sheiks, they tend to play like more wall heavy, and the issue is that if you stop moving, then Peach eventually finds a really good position where you're kind of stuck and you have to fight out of that. But the big thing that I really want to point out in this video is the fact that Plup and even Dewan, when you watch his videos, they stay very mobile and they don't put themselves in bad spots. So that's the big thing. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Close this ad. So here you're just fighting for a good position here. So as Sheik, just really understanding your hitboxes and what Peach can do. So like the two big hitboxes when Peach is in the air, generally like you just want to visualize how Peach can trade with you, and is that worth a threatening spot? Because on Sheik throws out, or Peach throws out a jump in a hitbox, you can, if you're close enough, you can kind of punish her with back air and fair. So you always want to picture what can she do with one jump and one hitbox. So if you end up going here, for example, let's say you fall down this way, then Peach can just throw out, Peach has the chance to throw out an up air, an air, or a hitbox to just straight up beat you. And in this place, you're not really looking for kind of risky gambles. You're looking for clean free hits because you're faster than her. So I'm going to slow down to 0.5 because it's a little bit easier to explain because they both play very fast. So here, like so needle is pretty much a free hitbox. Sheik doesn't, and what you're really looking for is if Peach shields here or if Peach gets hit, then you open yourself, you open Peach up to pressure, where if she holds shield, then you can close the distance on her because she can't move, and you can maybe open her up with a fair and force her to stay in shield. So that's why Plup ends up going for this first hitbox. Now, the good thing about Armada here is that Armada immediately runs from the needle so she doesn't get stuck. So Armada recognizes that that's a really bad spot to be in to hold shield because then Sheik has initiative. Instead, Armada takes a small loss and giving up a little bit of stage. So here you can take the turn. She goes just far enough that she can't punish a turnip, and that was really good of Armada. Now everybody has a different approach to turnips. If she throws it, I think Plup wanted to just go in and threaten space. If he got close enough, I think he could have potentially gotten a grab, or if you shield close enough and Armada throws the turnip, then you could potentially nair and get some free damage. So he gets that, and I imagine he probably would want to throw a nair just on the distance here. Doesn't get it, gets punished here. But the thing is that Plup held down, which is pretty good of him, and he ends up getting free damage. So like this is why like tech skill is important, is that you really need to find these little hits yourself. Although Peach is like the queen of trading hits, you too want to be able to find trades through just your tech skill. By tech skill, I mean doing shield drops, by being able to move quickly, by ledge dashing. Like anytime you find Peach slightly out of position and you could punish her, this is where your tech skill and your movement are going to become really handy. It's going to add up really quick because like 3 fares, a back air, like 3 aerials will lead to 40%, which is pretty meaningful here. And that tick damage and that chip damage is really going to be the difference maker between like you winning by like half a stock or you winning by half a stock. That's like 100% swing over the course of the match. So that's fine here. Goes for the grab. Armada spot dodges, air dodges because she's good. So one thing I want to really point out, and this is where a lot of people mess up. So this is where like the neutral happens a lot. And if you're a Sheik main, you really want to pay attention to their pre-position. So let me explain. Okay, so when Peach is in the air, you always have to tell yourself, hey, like, you can wait her out. If Peach is floating in the air, she's stuck until she lands. And it seems like it's a really long time that Peach can be in this position. And frankly, you do not want to trade with her. And you do not want to contestants because chances are that back air is going to straight up beat you or trade with you. But what you can't do and realize is that that float only lasts for 5 seconds max. And you can wait it out. So anytime you're in this spot and you're right here, instead of shielding and getting to a very awkward spot where she back airs you and then falls down and back airs you and down smashes and gets that mix up, what you can do is just altogether just avoid this distance where she floats down. So Plup does a really good job recognizing that and just staying just outside that range. And that's going to be really important because you do not want to get stuck in shield against Peach and get stuck in these awful spot. When you can just avoid this completely. And of course, you want to keep in mind you do not want to stay far. So if Peach overextends here at all, then you get a free hit. Yes. So you don't want to be so far back that if Peach does something stupid, you can't punish it because you're too far away. You want to be close enough that you can threaten that if she overextends or makes a mistake, you punish her. But you don't want to be so close that you're in a bad mix-up. So you want to play that mid-range really well, really clean. So she lands, and now Peach shields, and this is where you can take initiative here. So you always want to be reacting, and be like, okay, she shields, what can I do? And you have to be very observant. So let's go very slowly. I guess he reads a full hop jump and puts himself out of position, but the important thing here is that Plup decides to drift back and doesn't get caught in an awkward spot. So even here, you always want to be paying attention and reacting. You don't want to be preempted to the point where you're not watching Peach's position at all times. So here, this is kind of a rough spot, and if Armada went a little bit drifted more back, he would have straight up won a trade here. And at the same time, it's tempting as Sheik to go on a platform immediately, and this is what Armada ends up covering, but good presence of mind for Plup to just not land on that platform, to drift back and go back to safety. And he gets a free hit, recognizes Armada sliding off. All right. So this is another really good spot. So this is where you need to take away space from Peach. So notice how Peach is running this way. Now her threat zone to you is really small. At most, she can possibly just shield drop back air, but you want to take away and choke as much. You want to take away and choke as much. You want to take away and choke as much space as possible. So that's her back turn against you. This is the line that she can threaten you with. It's not. Basically, her horizontal distance while she's facing away from you is not very, it doesn't go very far back. And this is generally for all characters. So when you play against like Marth or Falcon, the moment they turn their back away from you is the moment that their threat zone on you is very small. So Plup does a smart thing, and just real quick, sorry for you YouTubers at home, you guys can't see this, I'm drawing. Can you guys see this red line? All right. Apparently only on my screen we can see the red line. Okay. Oh, that sucks. All right. Sorry for you YouTubers, it's just going to be about a minute. Oh, I know what went wrong. Fall. I used the wrong program. Gosh dang it. Okay. Okay, so going back, I'm really sorry. So when Armada's back is turned, you see this blue line. That's pretty much her threat space. She can either shield drop backwards here. And so whenever you can choke Peach out of a lot of stage, you should go for it. And so Plup, knowing this, so just pretend like that there's that walking vertical line. And look at how much Plup takes away space. This is how you start off playing neutral, especially in floaty matchups. And just in general, really good players know how to choke as much space as they can and control stage. So look at how much exertion, or look at how much like Plup has over space. And this is like the dream scenario for you, where your hitboxes are just way better than Peach's, because Peach can really only throw back air here and down smash. So she only has like really this much that she can cover, whereas your forward tilt is either going to force her to block or do something. So here the up tilt's really smart, because just in case Peach drifted this way, you get to intercept with the tilt going down this way. Now what's really nice is that a forward tilt's going to cleanly hit her shield, and if she doesn't block, she's going to take a hit. And at the same time, if she ends up throwing a shield, you can actually jump and throw in a forward air. And what's the funny thing is that either she has to take the hit or like take the shield damage, or she's gonna roll. And everything she does from this point is very reactable for Plup. Now let's see if Plup actually capitalizes. So forces the shield. Fortunately Armada gets out, but this is still like a really rough position. And just look at that spacing. So he doesn't get too much out of it, but it's still a lot of pressure, and it eventually opens him up to this. So we watch this whole sequence, and it's just like Armada has to fight so hard to get out of that spot. And finally, he gets it from a back air trade that leads into a grab. Armada's still really good at fighting that position. So it's not free, but it's a very favorable position for you. And now Plup has a lot of control here. And now the edge guarding, what you want to just make sure is that there's two things you have to cover as Sheik. I mean, if they're this low, ideally, you never want to give this route for free. Like, you never want to give them center stage for free unless you get a hit on them. What you usually want to do is you cover this, you make a wall here, so Peach is forced to go low. But at the same time, you want to go underneath her, because the only choice she really has is to either go straight or down. If you can throw like a rising hitbox that covers all the umbrella going in and going straight, you should be able to get a free hit consistently. So there we go. And so there's two routes you can take here, and this is like really subtle, right? Because you can either go this way and throw the forward air, meaning that you jump immediately. Now the issue with jumping immediately and then throwing the fair is that Peach can react to that and go underneath, and meaning you don't get the hit. So what you want to do is take the alternate route. My escape key is not working. Alright, let me just put another whiteboard on. Oh, that sucks. Let me add another whiteboard. If you go this way, that even if Sheik tries to come down, you're close enough that your hitbox will cover everything and you get a free hit. That little subtle difference is a difference between Peach escaping and you getting the hit no matter what. So another 12%, and it's a reset position. Now every time Armada is wisely DIing up so that he has more possible distance for Plup to cover. Now this time, this is where the issue happened. So Armada reacts here really nice, like he's just really good. So you want to be in a similar spot, and maybe Armada didn't give the spot here. So what Plup probably need to do is just wait a little bit more until like Armada gets a little bit closer, and then make the decision. Instead, Armada gets here and he ends up going this route, which allows Armada to go down here, which is, I imagine, what happened. Or no, he was close, he was close. Little trick, so he still gets the back air, still exerting a lot of pressure. Now in these situations, especially against Armada, people get scared and they're like, "Oh yeah, like I need to camp." No, when Peach is in a vulnerable state where they're not regaining their footing, you want to take advantage here. So takes one hit, but look at how he still follows through with this hit. And this is the difference between a mid-level player and like an amazing like top tier player, especially when it comes to the neutral game. Most spots here, whether you're Fox, you're Sheik, or Falco, most people here, and it's really painful to watch. You see Peach in this tumble state. Most characters and most players I see, they're willing to just charge needles here rather than run forward and get the stage. They're willing to go like, hey, like I won my neutral game, I'm just gonna charge the needles for like a few damage, and that's like the wrong approach you should be taking against Peach. There's many matchups where you could just abuse them, and people whether they're respecting the character or respecting the other player too much. This is a spot where you need to be taking as much stage as you can, and not let them relent, because the moment you do needle here, they get out here, then all of a sudden they could jump on platform, they get their terms back, and your pressure that you had on them is completely lost. Now, on the flip side of things, the other thing is that people try to rush too much. And what a lot of really bad Sheiks will do is they'll try to dash attack at this spot, and look at the amount of distance you have to cover here to get that dash attack. Very unrealistic in most cases, unless like they're clearly tumbling and you can go for it. So this is a really smart play. You see this? You run as much and you take as much space as you can safely. And this is actually a little trick. If you hold down as you run, you can immediately needle. It's a trick that AMSA has been doing for years. Now in this spot, notice how he still plays safe. He doesn't run all the way here where he gets threatened by that mix-up zone. Instead, he comes just outside the range, and Armada thinks he's going to run in with a boost grab or a dash attack or invade Armada's space. Instead, he stays just far enough out that he shoots the needles and adds free damage, free mix-up, no danger. If he walked up this close, all of a sudden, Armada regains control. It's a turnover where you have initiative as Sheik against Peach, to now that you're running around, all of a sudden if you go too close, all of a sudden you're in shield and you're in a bad spot and you have to fight out of it, and that's how you lose the neutral. So the free damage, that's really good here. And this is the one thing about Peach, is that if you can force her to make the first move, so he sees the wave dash back, doesn't decide to commit to this 50-50. So some Sheiks in this spot, they will boost grab, they'll try to dash attack. Against really good players, very risky, especially because a down smash will get you off stage. So Plup does a wise thing and just stays just outside the range, and his spacing is impeccable here. And see how he backs off a bit and says, like, and forces Armada into a really bad spot where he's forced to make a play. He goes backwards, and then he punishes this with a dash attack. Of course, too high percent, but once again, you get good position. In this spot, I like to just wait it out. Keep in mind, the only mix-ups you really have here is Armada just comes down straight with an aerial, or he kind of goes, and at any point, if you can get this magical spot or this magical spot with a back air, you get a free hit. Pretty hard to do on a really good player like Armada, but those are the zones you should be going for. Or if you can get directly underneath and get a clean up air, which is kind of hard because sometimes it trades with nair or down air. Those are the things you really want. But ideally, what you want to be is close enough that you could threaten the sides here, here with back air, or here with back air. And let's say if Peach ended up going down here, and Peach was here, you always want to maintain that sharking kind of distance, where at any given point, if they invade your space, you're going bam, I'm hitting you. So tries to go for it, but just so much pressure. Notice, I just want to just repeat this whole segment where Armada never really got his footing. So it all started from this 745. We're gonna keep going, and look at how Armada was really never able to establish any kind of stage presence. We still have the hit 5 seconds in. Look at how much control he still has. Still gets another hit, and this is the floaty versus floaty matchup. Is that a player can easily? It doesn't really look that way because the punishes aren't that good, But look at how Armada was never really able to establish control at any point. And now we're at 15 seconds, still cornered, still in the air, 7:45 to 7:30. And this is how a punish and this is how an outplay happens, is just by having this much control. Even when Armada lands, that was a little bit risky. But for this whole 20 seconds of that stock, that started from the corner pressure even earlier than that, Plup had control and never allowed Armada to establish any form of ground. So that was just, I just really want to emphasize that. A lot of people don't like floaty versus floaty, but that was, if we were to look at like time of possession in like football or something, Plup had it for like 80% of that stock. Now here, you want to form routes. So this is really important. So you just kind of watch. You have to be proactive and just watch and react. How does Peach get you? How does Peach get you cornered? So they can go down this way, but you're just playing lava pit and you can just go this way. You want to always imagine your route, the routes you can take based on position. If Peach goes this way, then you can go this way. If Peach goes this way, you go up here. And then now the decision becomes, is Peach going to go this way or this way? And if Peach goes above you, then you can go down this way and go around. So you should always, as Sheik versus Peach, unless Peach has some godlike read on you, you should never, ever, ever, ever be giving free hits to a Peach in this matchup. You simply outspeed her and you can react to the positioning that she presents to you. So it's close. Okay, so this is a really tough spot. So now from the invincibility, Armada uses it pretty well. Tracks Plup. So just a lot of control there. Gets him cornered. And from Armada's perspective, he's just trying to keep him at bay. From the Peach's perspective, if we were to give a little advice from the Peach, one way you lose the matchup is by giving them a free route to center stage. So if Armada went this route, then she gets center stage for free and loses control. But instead, Armada keeps his barrier where he says, you shall not pass. Alright, and so in this spot, this is the prime spot that you want as Peach, is Sheik being forced to shield here. And in this spot, you really don't have too many options here, and it gets even worse if Peach lands and you're still stuck in shield. I guess the one thing you could do as Plup is you just willingly take the hit, so you roll inside and you roll again. So the moment you see that hand come up with the fair, that means she has no backwards hitbox, and if you can react to that quick enough, then you get behind her. It's still really hard, and the mix-up here is that if Peach doesn't throw that hitbox and you roll, then she can combo you with a back, she can hit you with a back air, and you're giving up a hit. But on the bright side with the back air though, if you take that one hit, you do gain stage and you get out of the spot. So what happens here? So there's it's a mix-up that's not in Sheik's favor. So and if you've ever played this match against Peach to any sort of capacity, you're probably familiar with being in this situation before. So fair hits your shield. There's things that, these are the common options that come out. So Peach can jab. Peach can jab, and it's generally a good move. They can double jab you. They can wait for the, and what a lot of people do if they have stage position, so if Plup was in the middle of the stage, let's say Plup had the stage behind him, like let's say there's a platform here, the good option here would be to buffer roll, to immediately roll backwards, because that's a really tough cover for Peach. But on the flip side, you don't have that option. Alternatively, you can roll here, but that's like the newbie option that many people cover. So overall, it's a pretty rough spot, and I think what Plup thought was maybe Peach will throw out a down smash or a double jab, and maybe he can crouch cancel the jab and then go for a grab. But instead, Armada makes a smart decision here, thinking that Plup was going to hold shield, and goes for a straight grab. So it's still like a really rough spot. Armada adding in extra hits, just racking up the bonus. He's forced to jump here, really rough spot. And this is where tech skill is important, because he went from a rough spot here where it's still rough, you're still in shield, but without shield drop, you just get grabbed. And so he immediately shield drops, says peace. And now he has control again, where he has routes to escape, whereas he's no longer in shield. And even though Armada has presence here, he has stage control. Plup can still find routes to escape. Like if Plup went to top platform, Peach has a really hard time catching Plup here, so it's a little bit of a safer zone. Instead, another shield drop damage, decent trade. Unfortunately, no tech. Armada flubs there with nothing out of it. He mistimed his aerial, and it looked like it didn't cancel correctly. But still, 30 to 40 damage based on just shield dropping and adding little damage is really good here. Sizable lead. If you can keep this up, it's really good. Okay, so what do you do as invulnerability? Peach, what Peach should be doing, and it makes absolute sense, is just to throw a turnip, or to grab a turnip and just run away, because it's really hard for Sheik to cover it. But I think Plup immediately recognized that he was going to do that and go straight for that zone. So in some parts I thought he was being a little bit greedy, but gets away with it. So gets the fair. And here you just want to make your presence, you just want to threaten. So if you imagine here as Armada's perspective, like he can double jump fair, although Plup won't do it, but at any point if he's still holding center stage, so you're walling out, but like if Armada gets into the zone, Plup is at least threatening. One thing you never want to do is just run away to the other side of the stage and do nothing. So that's the last thing you want to do. So Armada wins the mix up there by air dodging, but I don't know why. Okay, let's see. I don't know Armada's decision here. Maybe this is just a rough spot. I don't really know why he just slid off like that, because Plup knows, like, can just spam up tilt, so it just seemed like a free hit. Ooh, that's like really good spacing. I don't know if that was like intentionally good, but to narrow, I don't know if like that was intentional by Plup to just like space just that good, or if it was just an accident and it just kind of worked out. I don't know. Gets shield grabbed. Of course, you know, on a grab, generally just against all grabs is Peach. There's no reason not to DI away or DI in, because if Peach throws you forward, you want to be DIing in, and if he down throws you, then you also want to be DIing in so you don't take extra damage. No, that was a really bad roll. Got away with it, surprisingly. So just that was a really questionable sequence from Plup. I think I have to say that's probably a misinput. I think he was trying to wave dash. So he gets stuck in this awkward spot. They both end up rolling. It's a little bit of spaghetti. That down air is pretty questionable on shield. I don't really like it. It puts you in a rough spot, and he ends up taking a little damage. But fortunately, he does this smart DI, and he takes one hit of down smash and is immediately able to trade. So little subtle trades like that are like really good, and Plup is able to find these like little trades that like add up a lot of damage. Armada's looking flustered, but like Plup is doing a really good job rolling out. Once again, just set up good position. You never want to waste your double jump here. That was a flub. Just Plup laughs. That was almost like really good, except he threw a forward smash instead of a forward tilt. So one thing is just like waiting and reacting. So notice how this whole time Plup is just kind of waiting for that zone to come out, but Armada never gets close enough, so they're both just going to be falling down, and eventually Peach is going to have to land, and Plup will get the first hitbox, which ended up being the forward smash. So just good sharking and just keeping Armada in check. This is a common situation you'll see. So against like new players, like you should generally be tech rolling away, because it's the hardest thing for Peach to cover, is covering all that distance, because Peach is slow. So if you go all the way here, it's a long dash. So what Peaches have to do in lieu of this, and because of this, is that they have to like pre-read that you're gonna tech roll away. And Plup did the I'm not sure if he reacted or guessed that Armada was going to run past him, but here I'm not sure if there's a reaction point, but since Armada was running that much, I think Plup figured that Armada was bringing the tech roll away. Instead, he goes the other side. That's just a little thing to just keep in mind. Once again, just not getting yourself in bad spots against Peach is really important. So look here. The moment that Armada sees that he gets set up a float and his threat zone's like right here, like see how Plup immediately just says, no, I'm not going to fight you there, and immediately backs off. That's something you have to do a lot with Peach. But the thing is that the trade-off of Peach's float is that, first off, Peach has to float, and so Plup is still staying proactive just outside the zone. And once Peach lands, she doesn't really have good hitboxes until she floats again. So runs up, takes some stage just in case, you know, Armada decides to throw a dash attack. It's a little bit preemptive of a safety check just in case Armada decides to dash attack in because he feels overly threatened by Plup's dash in. And once again, avoiding this zone, just staying out, but just in case, he'll throw a fair, just a wall. But Plup is probably not going to confront this too much. See, and then Peach is forced to land again. And at this point, Plup is dash dancing. That's really good. And now it's up to the question of the only thing that could really threaten Plup is the dash attack, which I think he's reacting to, which proactively with shield. But now that Peach has lost the dash, Plup, keep in mind, Peach is crouching now. The threat zone is only this far, meaning that Plup can mini checkmate him right there and run that far. And Peach decides not to move at this point and contest for that space. All of a sudden, the pressure opens up for Plup. You can start throwing out the forward airs. You can start throwing different tilts. You can force Armada to doing something and then punishing it. So there's a shield grab. Really rough spot. See the shield grab forcing Armada into doing something she doesn't want to do, and then ends up making a mini read here for that kill. But just so much pressure and just staying just outside of Armada's sweet zone while maintaining a threat. Good attempt by Plup, although a little bit of an awkward scenario. Armada forced a touch decision from him. I think what Plup may have wanted was just to wave land here, and I think that would have given him time to jump again. Instead, he gets an awkward double jump scenario where he's not quite the same level as a platform, which gives Armada extra time to catch up to Plup before he lands. So this is another situation again where Armada punishes slightly over the invulnerability. Once again, just avoiding spots. This is just so important in Sheik versus Peach. Armada establishes position here with that float. What do you do when you see that float? You back off. Alright, now the big thing here is that unfortunately they both kind of make minor spacing errors here. A little bit greedy here. Armada, but it's a rough spot for Plup, and I'll explain why. Is that as Armada encroaches on a space, notice how Armada's not committing. He's also reacting because he has a really good zone. Let's see. In this really rough spot, because if Plup ends up staying here, then Armada gets a fair, and you kind of get that similar scenario, and Armada's ready to catch a roll. So it's either you kind of have to be waiting in shield, you roll, or you contest that space, or you jump. There's not really too much what you can do. I guess if you're like a future, you know, if you're ultra confident in your ledge dashes, then what you could do is regrab ledge, invincible ledge dash, and then just run away from the corner. I think that could be a really abusable strat down the road. So really rough spot. And in this spot, it's a slight overcommitment. It does burn Plup's double jump, but unfortunately, because it's Peach, it's not really that good. And you can see if the goal is to control center stage, Plup goes around it, and now he has center stage, and he can take advantage potentially. So in this spot here, I think what I would honestly do here is If I see that Peach is not moving in this spot, I think maybe Plup misdrifted. And of course, I'm watching this at half speed, so this is way easier for me to like kind of digest and break down, as opposed to them playing in real time and playing with like a lot of pressure. Is that in this spot, because the threat zone's only this far, your back air, if you go this way, should cover this far. So instead of drifting into Armada, which I don't think was the right play, you should be drifting away and doing the back air, in my opinion. Instead, it's a missed space and it's a very awkward spot, and he gets punished. Plup nods his head because he knows it was a questionable space. But once again, it's really hard to consistently space all your aerials really well. This is a really interesting scenario because I think something happened with the needle, which gives him, because that hitbox came out, I think he's able to grab, and there's a delay where Armada can't like really flow cancel and go into something quicker than a shield grab. So just decent punish. So one thing about Samus and Peach is that when you down throw like aerial on them, like if you don't do it carefully, they can trade with you before you land. So one thing you want to point out here is that it's really smart of Plup to just nair and fast fall, which is something most Sheiks won't do like consistently well. And Armada's trying to trade here because he thinks that he can get to Plup before he lands. And this is honestly kind of a rough spot, but Plup lands quickly because of the fast fall and ends up getting a second grab, frustrating Armada. And that's a lot of damage. And Sheik Peach, that's a lot of damage. 47 damage from this. I would take that to the bank, as Mango would say. So now, instead of fighting from the corner, Plup has a little bit of leeway to do stuff, and I think Peach is probably going to have to land, so this gives Plup routes to the platform and gives him a little bit more leeway in gaining stage control. So he goes to the platform. Armada ends up backing off. Ooh, mistake. This is kind of just a scramble. Plup messes up. And I think Armada thinks that maybe Plup will throw like a weak jab or something. And strange enough, I didn't know that down smash was going to come out first, and I don't think Armada thought. I think Armada thought that Plup was going to throw a weak tilt, and Armada was hoping to trade here, go weak tilt into CC into down smash or down tilt, and that down tilt could have potentially led to a lot of damage. So from Armada's perspective, I think he was hoping for a weak hit that he could trade into. Instead, Plup gets a down smash. Although it doesn't hit here, I just want you guys to pay attention to spacing. Just walks just outside, so if Armada stood in place or shielded, this is pretty much a free hitbox, but instead Armada rolls, but Plup is quick enough to go out. This was a little bit of a gamble here. Armada just has really good reflexes, but at the end of the day, it's not too bad because it's like a pretty interesting 50-50 where either you get the boost grab or you get the dash attack. If they shield, you get the boost. You have a boost grab that can open up. So it's just a mix-up that went in Armada's favor. Gets punished, of course. Grabs the. Ooh, was that a Stitch face? You're insane. So he ends up living here because he grabbed the Stitch. Is that a Stitch face? That looks like a Stitch face. That's insane. Ballsy. Gets grabbed here. Nothing you could really do. Just you hold DI in and you hope they mess up. The only thing that he could have done was hold down here so that he takes 2 hits of down smash instead of 1. But still maintains a good lead. And so it's looking good so far. Goes for 1 mix-up here. Ends up backing off. Looking just to fight for space, but keep in mind, like, this is the weakness of Peach's neutral. Like, a lot of her tools aren't that great. So the moment she goes backwards, remember, we've talked about this many times already. Threat zone, not very large. You can run up and take it until she turns around and faces you. Even her back air, look at how much space that takes up. Just this much. And you can take up so much space from her just when her back is turned. So ends up being a rough spot, and Plup ends up getting a hit. I personally wouldn't go for that fair. I think maybe it's because I'm not as fast as Plup, so let me point it out. Gets him cornered, pretty good spot here. Just in my experience, most peaches just end up floating out, and what ends up happening is if I go for this, like maybe if I go like a little faster, I'd be a little bit more confident to go for this aerial. What often happens is that Peach ends up recovering because I did a weak hit, and they just like drift back just far enough that that I end up missing and they end up getting a free hit. Or if I try to overshoot it because I assume they're drifting back, if they don't overshoot, then like I could just eat a nair. And so it's just one of those spots where I don't think the risk reward is good enough for me to go for that, unless I was like 100% confident that they were going to be in a tumble, like hit stun type of state that I can go for it. But generally after a weak hit, unlike Fox, and because of the distance that I have to cover, I generally think that I can't cover it. On the flip side, I would just probably just stay in place, but Plup knows more than me in this regards, and they don't end up actually hitting each other. So once again, just good spacing, just staying just outside the fair range, and I think just Plup's experience just with playing like Hungry Box so much gives him such a feel for this. Like he's just outside of Peach's forward air range like the whole time. That's like really impressive to keep track of. So look at like how he's just outside the range the whole time. Like just outside the range, just sets up nicely for forward tilt pressure. Looks really good. And what you want to do, really bad players will tend to spam roll or they hold shield way too long. And how I exploit like the bad peaches is like I throw one hitbox on their shield and I'll just fair pressure them and they get stuck. But one thing that's like really important to note with Armada is how he moves out of shield pressure. But even more importantly, so like most Sheiks in this spot would honestly fair, and Armada's preparing the counter to it. So if Plup ended up going with fair, I think Armada would have cut him off and like before the fair came out. Of course, doing fair, like doing that nair right away from Peach's perspective could be beaten by other things, and I think Plup recognizes next level stuff and just jabs. So good stuff. Armada's still cornered just outside of range. How is that spacing so good? Honestly, this like spacing's insane. Just outside the range, just barely outside that range. That's actually really insane. And it's not a loop. It happens again. Just outside the range. And if Peach goes in first, then he loses in this scenario. So once again, Peach is stuck, and now Armada's looking for something here. And finally, this is one little trick you can do at middle percents when they can't punish you for a CC, is that if you see this is actually with a lot of characters. This is with Falcon and Puff, because Falcon now they want to cheese you by baiting a tilt and CCing it. If they're at mid percents and they're holding down, I just run up and down smash them or run up and grab them, because they're holding down, they're like looking specifically for it, unless they have the presence of mind to really just like go like, I'm baiting you with my crouch to get you to come in and do a certain attack. I rarely see that. The only bait I can see in this scenario is holding down, baiting a grab, and spot dodging, but down smash beats it. So it'd have to be really next level for him to just go from crouching to shield. It'd be a next level read. So down smash, a really good choice because it covers the spot dodge, which is, I think, a very likely candidate in that spot. Okay, you never want to do this. Never want to do this. It never ever works. That forward tilt on Peach, like they specifically space it. They beat forward tilt. Like I never see success with this ever. Of course, you know, if you got this and Peach DI'd in, maybe he gets a kill. But I never get a hit with this. They just wait for the forward tilt and kick me or punch me. Wow, he got that. That's amazing. He contested that one, gets it. A little bit of a gamble. I like the idea that edge guard tries to go low, but Peach grabs ledge. Oh, okay. A little bit of a tough reaction. I think the big thing here we have to realize is that a lot of Sheiks make the mistake by jumping and trying to go for a fair, which loses to a lot. And especially if like Peach trades a hitbox, that's not good. And if Peach spot dodges and you get stuck here, then guess who has stage again? Not you. It's not you. So still, that's really important here. I just want to emphasize here. Stuck, this is a really rough spot for Peach. So keep in mind he has the discipline to stay grounded here. Although I guess you could go for aerial just as long as you hold center, then that's okay. So in this spot, just kind of, it's a kind of a spot where you kind of want to wait a little bit to see what the Peach does. You don't want to immediately fall down. C is the shield, and then as you see the shield as a confirm, you should be going down to create pressure with back air, which of course Plup does. It's a smart play. Now you set up your good position where Peach has no good hitboxes right now. Really can only roll, maybe do a jump nair, and you can start creating pressure on her. So this is a really good spot for Peach. And the one thing we have to note here is that Plup has not been throwing hitboxes for a while. And although it's a gamble, you know, Peach could spot dodge here or roll, because Plup has never gone for the grab, it's actually like really unsuspecting of Armada to assume that he'll go for a grab because he's been throwing so many hitboxes. Yep. So here, in this down throw spot, it's kind of rough for Peach, because if you DI away, or if you DI towards the side, there's enough of this that you can run forward and fair. So I think Peach is dead. Although if Peach, you know, DIs behind and maybe tries to get a platform, which I think she's too high for, it does make it a little bit more difficult for Plup because he has to turn around and actually hit the strong part of up air, and a lot of Sheiks will end up missing that up. So I think it was really cool. It was better for Armada to go backwards because it's more of an execution test and it's less trivial than dashing forward and throwing forward air. Because no matter what the situation was, I think Armada was pretty much dead. Like, I don't think he could tech on a platform. So might as well, if you had to say to yourself, is Plup more likely to land that forward air or turn around up air? He's probably less likely to land the turn around up air. So if one option's like 99% likely to hit and the other option's like 96% likely to hit, then you go with the 96. This is actually like not that trivial. Like, a lot of Sheiks miss it. So overall, just really good. I mean, I think the big thing here is like how much damage does Plup take on Armada's invulnerability. So here, you just run around. You find the free route out. So the moment he sees Peach float here, Peach float at this height, can't cover anything else. He's hard committed to here, where you go, peace man, I'm gonna go this way, and Peach can't catch Sheik. It's the weakness of Peach. Can't catch him. And now look, the total result of Peach not being able to catch Armada, look who has center stage again. Look who has control. It's actually Plup that comes out the victor in this scenario. And victory and floaty matchups don't always lead to combos. It often leads to position, which will eventually lead into combos. So Armada thought that he was going to jump. Ooh, another Stitch Face. Okay, so this part is like where everything like breaks loose, and it's like unfortunate because there's so much threat with this. I can change it to just a moment. I guess for the fans, I'll change it to. All right. So going back. This is a really rough spot just because Armada has a Stitch Face. There's so much threat. That's unfortunate. Plup looks upset. That's unfortunate. Vintage Armada. I honestly feel like Armada has like sold his soul to the devil to get Stitch Faces in like the most important moments. Because the funny thing here is that Armada hasn't even like thrown that many turnips in the match, and he got a Stitch Face when he needed it. This is tough. This is a tough scenario because here's how it plays out very often. Armada hits your shield, you're stuck in shield, And if Armada hits you with a turn up following that, your shield is practically broken, and like you have to do something. And chances are, like, Armada has played these situations so out that he knows what you're going to do. So you kind of have to do a desperate play here just to get out. Or you can just get a shield grabbing, and I don't know. Good boost grab. This is so nerve-wracking. This is so nerve-wracking. Still has a turnip. See, so much. Double roll gets him out. Sometimes you just gotta triple roll. Like, it's so hard. But overall, like, the point is that Stitch Face gave Armada so much control. Like, took out like practically a full stock, and like almost part of the next stock too, just for pressure that you have, and for the amount of respect you have to give the turnip. Ooh. See, even Armada is susceptible to down smashing. Didn't think that was a good down smash. A little bit desperate. I think that turnip actually made like everyone play like super scrambly and like nervous. Once again, oh, that was a little bit risky. I would have waited. In this spot, you just don't want to be in that magic peach zone. You just want to stay out of it because it's hard. It's so hard to contest. Center stage. Always keep in mind, another thing I have to point out here is that Plup always directions himself to get center stage. You never see him coming from the left. It's always towards the middle. Kind of a desperate roll. Plup just reacts here. So this is really important about timing your aerials. Some people, a lot of Sheiks, especially new ones, will just spam an aerial here without like reacting to positioning and what they do. Plup waits until the roll comes out and then he goes for it rather than preemptively throwing a back air. And sometimes preemptively throwing it will lead to similar results, but you do get a lot more out of waiting it out and seeing how the opportunity plays itself. Because if you throw the bear early, then Armada gets a free escape, because it's like, oh, you get to commit. You committed to that back air. I can just stand here and I can just jump and do stuff, but Plup waits to the last moment until he sees the roll to commit to that backer. So that's just something important to point out. All right. Interesting. Ends up covering everything anyway. That was a little bit nerve-wracking, but maybe he had the foresight to see that that situation plays out that way. Forward air. I wonder what would have happened if like Armada nared like right here, like somewhere there. I don't know. Maybe it's a tough reaction. Maybe he didn't expect Plup to go that deep. But overall, I just want to really just emphasize just good positioning and just not playing bad spots and just playing position. That's how you win this matchup. You outspeed Peach as Sheik, and you just can't give her free like corner pressure opportunities, down tilts, and you don't want to give her stage. You don't want to give her stage for free. Like, you can see that the moment Plup had pressure on him, and Armada had a hard time regaining his footing, and that's like the other really important part of like playing against like Samus and even Sheik and Peach. So that's just like one match analysis. I'll probably just do one match at a time and just upload these in chunks. So let me go ahead and close this video and I'll upload it to YouTube.